Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on Indian ethos in management, and this is going to be part 3 of our lectures on Indian management versus Western management, where we are talking about Western Enlightenment and Eastern Awakening. Before I proceed further, let me acknowledge the contribution of an author called Subhash Sharma for this very idea, the Western Enlightenment and Eastern Awakening, which was published in International Journal of Human Resource Development and Management, published by InterScience UK in 2003. So, with due acknowledge to the author who has contributed to this idea of Western Enlightenment and Eastern Awakening, let us proceed further with the implication of this entire idea for management, administration and society. So, we will be talking about the conflict resolution to conflict resolution, EVA to another EVA, that is ethical value addition, towards a model of holistic development, and many more. So let us start with the implications of these two ideas for management, administration and society. So here we will be talking about conflict resolution to conflict dissolution. We are not going to talk about the conflict resolution only, but we will talk about conflict dissolution. Since the model of man in Enlightenment project is that of Homo faber, which is the intensification of conflict is inherent in such conceptualization, where we talk about that conflict is inherent in this kind of conceptualization, where we consider a human being to be Homo faber. Hence the ideas of resolution of conflict gains primacy, because once conflict is there, we have to resolve it. We cannot carry on our business with the conflicts, with the struggles. So we have to resolve those conflicts, and the resolution of those conflicts, that gains primacy in Western concept. So in such a model, man is busy resolving one conflict or the other. Today I am resolving one conflict, tomorrow I am dealing with another one, and so on. So the series of conflicts come to us, and we keep on resolving them, we keep on solving them. This is what is there in practice, or we believe that conflicts are there in front of a business person, in front of a personnel, in front of a key managerial personnel who is dealing with the situation. So we can say that he or she, whether manager is male or female, accordingly is in perpetual state of resolving conflict. And there is no escape from conflict. Conflict is something which is inevitable. You have to deal with that. And in fact, the person starts enjoying the game of conflicts. A time comes when you start enjoying this game of conflicts, and you want to use it to your advantage. At times, you start enjoying that state where you are dealing with one conflict or the other, and during the process of dealing with those conflicts, at times some of the managers, they use it to their own advantage, to their own benefit, which is not good. So we can say that a person creates a conflict to demonstrate his Homo faber nature. Sometimes conflicts are created also in certain business scenarios. We find that conflicts are created. They could be avoided, they could have been avoided, but we created it just because of the Homo faber nature of the man, which is basically well established in the Western philosophy, in the Western management thought. And this is also the essence of the yang nature of man. It is in yin-yang theory, it is written that this is the yang nature of man. And we do accept, because these things are prevalent in our society. We find at times that the top management is dealing with those conflicts, and they are resolving those conflicts in one way or the other. They have their own way of resolving the issues. And there are different researches in this area, how to resolve a conflict, how to come out of a situation of conflict. But here we are going to get a remedy which is more sustainable. The project of Eastern Awakening suggests another model of human being, which is known as Homo sober, where we talk about a person who believes in sobriety. And this model, a man, and here we say man, it represents men and women both. Human being we are going to talk about. They demonstrate their non-violent, sober and yin nature. They are very sober in terms of their behavior. And we assume that human beings work for complete elimination, or what you call as dissolution of conflict. We have this feeling that human beings are not there to create any kind of conflict, to raise any kind of conflict. They are there to eliminate any kind of conflict or any kind of struggle. And this actually implies a non-violent approach, or what you call as the yin approach to conflict handling. So a person who is non-violent, a person who is not aggressive, a person who doesn't believe in the competition but believes in cooperation, then of course if these things are present, there is no space for conflict to arise. What is needed here? The framework which we are discussing here, it indicates that there is a need for a paradigm shift from the yang style to yin style of handling conflicts. This is actually the need of the hour today. And if we are able to implement this, if we are able to create this kind of framework, then of course majority of the problems which modern business enterprises are witnessing, they are going to get eliminated. Mahatma Gandhi echoed this approach to conflict handling by his famous lines called Nij par Shashan, Fir Anushashan, that is, rule the self before ruling others. I cannot guide somebody else unless I myself is disciplined. I cannot request anybody to be more disciplined unless I myself am disciplined. So I need to be disciplined first, then only I can preach others. This is what is needed as of now. And this represents, and we have actually witnessed the success of that also. It is not only theoretical, it is practical also. We have witnessed the implementation of the same. And it represents the essence of the yin of the non-violent approach to conflict resolution. And this also represents the yin model of man in sharp contrast to Homo Faber model of the Enlightenment project, which is the yang model of man. So we are making a comparison between the two. One is the Homo Faber model and another is Homo Sober model. One is represented by yin, another is represented by yang. So self-discovery implies discovery of yin nature of man. We need to discover our own self. We need to discover who we are, what we are, for what we are here. And in last 60 years, I can say, the resolution of social issues has been rooted in the conflict model of society. If you try to find the reason for that, the point of origin for that, it is rooted in the conflict model of society. And this is a legacy of Darwin and Marx, who were also the product of Western Enlightenment. Gandhi, with his roots in Eastern Awakening, has an alternative model which is known as harmonization model to offer. So on one hand we have Darwin and Marx, and on the other we have a person like Mahatma Gandhi, who talks about Eastern Awakening by the way of harmonization model, ensuring harmony in the society, in the country. So accordingly he was for conflict resolution in many areas of social life. So his catchphrase was the concept of reconciliation, that is called as reconciling man with nature and man with man. We can reconcile, we can find a resolution, we can resolve those conflicts which are not supposed to even arise. So they can be nipped in the bud if we reconcile man with nature and further man with man. And once we are able to reconcile, then of course there is no space for conflict to arise. Maitreyi in the research published in 1992 has explored various approaches in context of ecological movements, and she has explored them with respect to other social movements. For instance, we can talk about creation of self-help groups and grassroots institutions, building through collective action and strategic linkages. So we can find that there is a sense of cooperation, and once we are not competitive, then of course there is no space for any kind of conflict to arise. So in this way, my dear learners, we have understood our journey, our shift from conflict resolution to conflict dissolution. So in place of becoming an agency who is resolving, which is there to resolve the issues, why are we waiting for conflict to arise? Why can't we make an effort where these conflicts can be nipped in the bud? Why can't we ensure a ecosphere, we ensure the atmosphere where in our business enterprise or in our society there is no conflict? So if we somehow ensure that we are not competitive but we are cooperative, we believe in coexistence, then of course we are going to witness a society where the conflict is dissolved and not resolved. Another idea which we are getting from here is from economic value added to ethical value addition. Another important aspect of development process which relates to the role of business organizations in the society. The very question which is very often asked to business houses are, do business organizations exist only for profit, or they have a role beyond the profit? Are they existing for making money only? Are they acting as a money making machines, or their role is beyond the profit? What in essence is the ultimate purpose of corporate organization? What is the objective of having a corporate entity in our society? So management thinkers, they have been raising this issue of profit versus purpose, that whether the profit is going to supersede above the purpose, or purpose is more important, and it is going to be the basis for corporates' existence, whether they exist for profit or they have some purpose for the betterment of society. So here the interesting aspect is that the Eastern Awakening idea gives us a guidance to shift from shareholders to stakeholders. And the changing role of corporates in society has been captured by the phrase from profits to purpose, that business entities are not only for profit but also for the purpose. So we don't deny to the relevance of profit. No business can survive without profit. But what about the purpose? In the race of making profit, we should not forget our purpose, for what we are here in the society. Earlier, the corporates were primarily very much interested in profit, and their vision was restricted to profit making only, and at times merely profiteering. They were regarded as an entity which is behaving like a profit making machine. But further, they were merely interested in creating wealth for their shareholders. They have this idea that since we are acting as an agent of our owners, that is shareholders, our objective is to create wealth for them. So what is wrong into that? But now the corporates, they have moved beyond the narrow focus of shareholders to the idea of wealth creation. They are no more sticking to the profit maximization, but they talk about wealth maximization. And that wealth is not only created for shareholders, but also for the society, which is one of the important stakeholder for a business enterprise. It also includes wealth creation for various stakeholders, where employees are also one of the stakeholders, where society is also one of the stakeholders. Even governments are one of the stakeholders here. So Eastern Awakening movement talks about shifting from looking at merely shareholders' interest to all the stakeholders approach, which is more sustainable. And it is also called as the societal concept, where we have to look at the welfare of society as well. So there is a shift of vision from shareholder to stakeholders. So we are making a shift in terms of our vision from only looking at shareholders to looking at all stakeholders, in which shareholders are of course included, because they are the one who are contributing their capital to the business. They are behaving as the owner of the business. They contribute their hard-earned money to the business. Now what is needed? The need is that the enlightened corporates they are guided by a holistic vision of improving the quality of life in society, which is more important. We should not only look at the quality of work life, which is very well explained and researched in Western management philosophy. Here we talk about improving the quality of life in our society, and they are basically driven by an enlightened purpose, which is reflected in their vision, mission and goals for improving not merely the quality of work life, but also the quality of life in general. Why only stick to the quality of work life? Why only stick to only our employees? Why not the society at large? Can we make the life better for society at large, for society in general? If we can do that, then of course our objective, our goal, our purpose is very much explained, or it is very much justified, that this is the reason why we are needed in society. So what is the challenge here? The real challenge of holistic development is to develop such enlightened corporates and make them feel that, see, this is our philosophy, this is our purpose. Unless they realize what is their purpose, they would only be running for making profits only. So these corporates, they go beyond economic value addition to care for ethical values addition. They call it EVA. Again, the acronym remains the same. The value addition in terms of their ethics, human values addition, their social values addition, to what extent they have added values to the society, to the humanity, to the ethical principles. So this is something which is more important than only adding economic values to the balance sheet. So these corporates, if they follow these guiding principles of Eastern Awakening idea, then these corporates, they can go beyond the economic value addition, and they can simply talk about the ethical value addition, which is more sustainable. And actually that is the purpose of any business enterprise, to work in a given society. Another important implication of this Eastern Awakening idea is that we are going to make a move towards a model of holistic development, the development which is not lopsided. We are going to ensure a development which is more holistic in nature. And the idea of corporate management is also directly and indirectly rooted in the Western Enlightenment. And accordingly, its focus has been on the enterprise and professional qualities development. If we look at the self-development, it is something which was never discussed. It has not been its prime concern, because the focus was largely on corporate development only. So self-development was something which was not at all the point of focus for Western management thinkers. While in Western management, focus is on enterprise. And if we look at the Eastern idea, in Indian management, focus has been on self and self-development, because it is the human being which is going to make all other sources active. All other sources, they are static in nature, they are not dynamic. It is only the human being which is going to make all other sources of business operations active. So the self and self-development is the point of prime focus for Indian management idea. So if we combine the both, if we are combining both of them, the new age corporates, they could contribute to the holistic development of the society. We don't deny to the relevance of making a focus on enterprise, making a focus on corporate development, but along with that, we cannot deny to the relevance of focusing on self and self-development. So both are important. So I am not saying that you just leave the Western management ideas. No, they are equally important. We can go ahead with them, but it should not be lopsided. We should also look at the self and self-development of the human resources, which are actually the real asset, or we call them human capital nowadays. So in fact, we can identify 5 interlinked levels of development, what you call as self-development, family development, corporate development, nations development, and global development. So my dear learners, we cannot dream of a world which is developed unless we have a person who is developed, unless we start developing, ensuring the development from the basic level, that is a self-development. If our citizens are not developed, if the human beings are not developed, then how can you even dream of having your families developed, your corporate entities developed, your nations developed, and eventually the world which is developed, the world in which we are living is going to be developed. So it is basically an interlinked scenario where if you ensure self-development, of course that would get reflected in the development of family, then corporate, then nation, and eventually the entire world. So we in terms of Eastern management ideas, we believe in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We believe into the concept of considering the entire world as a family. And Eastern awakening implies appreciation of a holistic approach through an integrative approach, wherein corporate development and other developmental links, they are strengthened together. So we have to work for strengthening both of them, not only corporate but also the self, also the individuals. Another important application of this Eastern awakening idea is a leadership which is called as corporate Rishi leadership, towards the new age of Rishi managers. What is needed in them? How they are different from the traditional managers, traditional leaders. It may be indicated that emergence of management as a discipline is closely tied to the Enlightenment project and its tools and techniques. We cannot deny to the relevance of Enlightenment project and its own tools and techniques. Result by management theory and practice has been heavily biased in favor of rationality. We have only been talking about the rationality, logic, cause and effect relationship in traditional scenario. But in the recent past, the limitations of this approach have become evident. We have started realizing that with this only logical approach, we cannot survive. Now the role of intuition has also received acceptance. Majority of the managers, they are accepting the role of intuition, because there are certain scenarios where the calculation doesn't work. So wisdom equation, which is W is equal to R plus I, is now emerging as a new paradigm for managers. And this wisdom equation is recognizing the role of I, that is intuition, thereby the re-see way, that is re-look. We can basically refer to the new generation of managers as the managers which are called as Rishi managers. They have to act as a saint. They have to basically have a re-look on what they are doing. So managers who are willing to re-see the things in a new perspective, they have to look at those ideas, those concepts, those practices which we are following from a new perspective. And if you are willing to create a new paradigm shift, then of course your subordinates are ready to cooperate with you. So these managers are not R oriented, but they are W oriented. Here R represents rationality and W represents basically when we talk about the W, it is representing wisdom. So from rationality to wisdom, we are going to make a shift. So they represent a combination of Western enlightenment and Eastern awakening, which is the combination of Vigyan and the Gyan. So these managers, they are doing the same thing. They have to follow all the principles of management. We don't deny to that. But they need to look at those processes from a new perspective. Why don't you re-see? Why don't you have a re-look on what you are doing? Can we make a difference by simply giving a re-look to what you have been following? So the world is awaiting for what? Perhaps the world awaits the arrival of this breed of new generation of Rishi leadership in the form of corporate Rishis. And the Rishi managers, they are supposed to lead the nations and the world towards holistic progress. So the world is eagerly awaiting to embrace them, embrace those managers who are ready to lead with their wisdom, who not only stick to the management principles and ideas, but also have the courage to re-see at the different aspects of business enterprises. Can we find a new way of doing the same thing? Of course, if you are doing so, you are going to emerge as a leader who is going to ensure the holistic progress. This is what the Eastern Awakening movement says. We also talk about the environmental concerns through eco-balancing. Indian concept of Panchatattva. We believe into the Panchatattva. There are 5 gross elements, that is earth, air, fire, water and sky. With their natural dharma, or when we say their natural dharma, we are talking about their inherent properties. They are basically providing us a foundational basis for environmental concern. We say that our human body is made of these 5 elements, and eventually it is going to get dissolved in those 5 elements only. So once we are made of those 5 elements, how can we ignore the very significance of those 5 elements? Of course not. So there is natural balancing among these 5 elements. They are balancing each other. So when natural balancing is disturbed either because of natural causes or because of human interventions, pollution in varying forms occurs. We are witnessing pollution as a result of those interventions. They are either human or they are natural. So this in turn leads to spread of disease and other problems of human beings and society. So we are going to make a shift from utilitarian to ethicotarian society, where earlier we were considering the 5 elements from merely a view of utilizing them and thereby leading to a disturbance in their natural equilibrium. In contrast, in ethicotarian view, we are considering these 5 elements as sacred. They are very pious, and our focus is on retaining the natural equilibrium without wasting these resources. So my dear learners, in this way we have understood the very implication of the Eastern awakening ideas. I hope you must have enjoyed today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.